So we're trying our chickens out on a paddock shift system in our suburban backyard, which we've recently finished fencing in. It's a half-acre backyard with a 5-foot welded wire fence. That makes up the permanent perimeter for the chicken paddocks. And working off of that, we're using a 3-foot portable electronet fence on a plug-in energizer. And I put a block of wood in between the electric fence and the metal fence to keep from energizing the whole thing. We set up the welded wire mostly for our dog so we could let her out in the backyard off leash since we live near a main road. So after the fence was built, I was also feeling motivated to try out this new chicken system because I had read an article by Wheaton called Raising Chickens 2.0, where he goes through the different systems people use to raise chickens and made some pretty strong arguments for why paddock shift is the best. We started with the traditional coop and run, as most people do in a backyard. The advantage of that is you can make it pretty predator proof with good materials. But the problem with the traditional coop and run is even with a fairly large run and a small number of chickens, they'll end up scratching it down to bare dirt where nothing will live. They have no living forage, and the manure becomes a problem because there are no plants to take it up. Also, to control manure in the coop, you have to provide bedding and muck it out, which is more work than some of the other systems. A step above the coop and run is a portable coop or chicken tractor like we've been using for a while. And ideally you would move it every day, at least once a day, to provide fresh forage. And that works pretty good on a farm pasture, but I found when trying to do it on a lawn in the suburbs, even if you're moving it once or twice a day, they really like to scratch up the lawn and make divots for their dust bath, which I even have a little portable dust bath that rides along in their coop, but they still insist on making these holes in the lawn. So I ended up moving the coop into the edges of the property where there's not so much lawn, and I didn't care so much what they did to it. But that resulted in me not moving the coop for up to a week at a time. So when you leave the coop in one place for a while, you find out why they call it a chicken tractor. Because the chickens act like living rototillers and scratch up all the vegetation under there, eat all the weeds, and deposit plenty of manure, which is great if you're trying to establish a new garden bed, but not so nice for the chickens because they end up standing in their manure. It starts to smell, and they end up eating semi-toxic plants that they wouldn't have otherwise eaten because they're so hungry for fresh forage. So I think a chicken tractor alone in a backyard ends up being either a lot of work and hassle, or you just don't end up moving it enough. So another option would be to go totally free range, maybe giving them access to the whole backyard at once. And I have not tried that, but the problem ends up being that you find eggs all over the place. They poop on everything and probably destroy the garden. So a better solution is this paddock shift, which gives you a limited free range where you can control what they have access to. So I've fenced them out of these baby plum trees so they don't damage those. And inside the paddock I've set up a few little cages on some other baby plants so they don't destroy those. I'm also giving them limited access to the lawn just to see what they do with it. They like to eat the grass, and they can possibly fertilize the lawn a little bit, but because they have access to such a big area, they won't be as tempted to dig holes in the lawn the way they used to in their portable coop. So with paddock shift, I'll move the portable fence along the perimeter about once a week. And if I can have at least 4 paddocks along the edge in total, and every paddock has at least 3 weeks to recover. So this is a pattern of mild disturbance and fertilization of an area by the chickens, followed by regrowth. And that should actually improve the soil and make everything more lush over time, even more so than a totally free-range system. So far it's going well. They've been in for about a week in this system. The chickens have learned to respect the fence, the dog is respecting the fence, and they've learned to go in and out of their coop and go inside to roost at night, so we can close them in and protect them from nocturnal predators. My main concern at this point is daytime predators like hawks, which for now we're being cautious and limiting the forage to times when one of us is home, which is most days during the week, so that there will be people or a dog in the yard scaring the hawks away. I think that should help. We're also converting the edges of the property into more of a forest garden system over time, adding more edibles and layers of bushes and tree canopy that should provide cover and protection from predators, and it should also increase the forage over time as we get more edibles in. Whatever the humans don't harvest, the chickens can harvest for themselves.